Is there a better way to do life? And so I want to talk to you guys about some mindsets that we might accidentally have that might be leading us into the wrong space. So let's do a checklist together actually. And so you can see if any of these match um, who you are or what you're doing. Let me pull up my checklist. I had it up and then it went away. All right. So the first thing, um, one is your goal is to feel happy. Two, get others to satisfy me. Get the next thing. Avoid hardships. Avoid pain. Do things to get things in return. Focus on what others are doing so I can be safer, have more, do more, or be more. Justifying all of your wrongs. Minimizing your worth. Nothing I do matters, the feeling that nothing I do matters, and then I can't do certain things until other things happen. So you could fill in the blanks with that. So that's a common list that we actually have in our minds and in our hearts and in our motives and in our interaction. And what I want us to start thinking about is could those feelings or those thoughts or those kinds of processes lead me to living my life in a way that I don't want to live my life? So I've had deeper conversations about each of those individual items. We're not going to go into whether they're right or wrong, but I do want you to consider something. In sports um, and a lot of areas of life, there's just a small difference between um, doing something that means goodness and doing something that means not goodness. And so life, it's the same way. I always tell people the baseball analogy, like the bat's not even that thick. If you were to go buy a bat from the store, um, you would see the bat's not that thick, but the difference on where the ball comes off makes all the difference long term. So if you hit it just a little bit lower, it's going to be a home run, but a little bit higher, it's going to be a single and you're out, or even a pop fly and it's routine and you're out, right? So there's not that much difference between um, initially between what goes well and what goes right, and we need to know that with our mindset. So some things that we need to know is that making that error in our mindset initially can cost us a lifetime of habits and hurts and spiritual warfare on the inside. So that's the issue, is that we go for those things that I listed in the beginning, like I'm trying to be happy, that's my goal, right? I'm trying to get others to satisfy me, that's my goal. um, or the feeling that I'm not really worth enough, or I can't get enough done, or all those things and those focuses start taking us off into the wrong spot. And so what we need to know is some different things. We're going to have to change what it is that we know about how we're pursuing life and try to get really intentional, because remember, it's just a small difference between where that ball comes off the bat, right? So if we could just make a slight change on what we're focusing on, it can change everything for us in the long term. And so the first thing that you need to know is that you weren't made to have some kind of experience on the outside, like happy or sad. Feelings change so much, and you were made with so many of them to just say, like, I only want one of those feelings to be in my life. Um, it's going to be harmful and hurtful to your pursuit and interactions, because there are so many feelings. Feelings cannot be your goals in life. Okay, so you do have a unique ability that others don't have and need, and yet they need it. And so us just being able to think about how can I serve others with my unique need is a game changer for us. Now, I think the thing that gets mixed up here is the difference between satisfying others and serving others. It's not about satisfying others, it's about serving others. So if you could focus on, so the difference in those two, so that we can be clear for me and my definitions, the difference in those two is that If I'm satisfying somebody else, I have to watch them to know if I'm doing it right or not, or if what I'm giving them is okay. But if I'm serving them, I might give somebody some constructive criticism that doesn't necessarily make them feel good, but it's super helpful to their life overall, right? So it's not about satisfying other people, it's about us being able to serve other people. Okay. So we need to understand that about ourselves, that we have unique abilities that others do not have and they need. And it's up to us to be able to make that as a goal to serve others. And it changes how we approach our life and the things that we're supposed to do. Now, with that unique ability, we need to take that and do something with that. And so, what does service look like? For us, it needs to look like us starting on the inside, meaning that we need to be able to develop and sharpen our abilities that we are aware of, right? That's going to help us be more creative. If we can be more creative and challenge and face the challenges that come with us being able to grow, that focus that we have in that interaction is helpful to us. So something else besides, and this is really important, something else besides the feelings, besides getting a relationship, or besides somebody coming to us and making us feel better, something that helps us is us experiencing challenge to get better and then overcoming that and then doing that again. If anybody knows or is familiar with how muscles grow, they actually rip apart and then they're filled in, right? And then they grow and then they rip apart again and then they filled in and they grow. And that's how your muscles grow. But that's also how we grow too. The same kind of concept is that we face challenge to want to get better at the right kind of thing, and and then we grow, right? And then we face more challenge and try to get better at the right kind of thing, and then we grow. And the right kind of thing that we're talking about is developing our becoming more aware of our unique ability. The second thing is being able to exchange our ability, and so this develops our connection with other people if we can find a way to exchange what they have for what we have, not in an expectation concept, but just in the mindset that says, look, I'm open minded. I want to try to understand what other people have. I want to try to do things that mean that I can actually provide support to somebody else and also hear somebody else. That process allows for us to be connected to other people. And then the final thing that I think will be helpful for us being able to just realize our unique ability, develop it, and interact with it is that we need to be able to remove expectations that there's actually going to be some kind of reciprocation. A lot of times, um, the goal is like, if I do this, I'm going to get something in return. And it can't be about getting something in return. It has to be about removing that expectation that somebody's going to be able to reciprocate or want to reciprocate, and more be able to focus on being something like a light, where the light just gives off without having an expectation that there's a return, right? And so this will allow you to contribute to other people around you without us having the need to get something else or watch other people to say, okay, am I doing this right? What's going on here? Am I good enough? Just continue to focus on growing yourself so that you can illuminate the things that you have to illuminate. All right. So if we can kind of summarize it, because I laid out for you some things that could be really fulfilling for you and a good focus. But if we can summarize it, I'll say this: along the way, all the challenges are possible, but you're focused to find ways to serve other people by developing and coming to know your unique ability gives your heart the ultimate peace and sense of fulfillment. So there will be challenges with this, and this is why at the beginning I listed all of those scenarios where we talked about avoiding pain and those kinds of things, is because we don't need to avoid these challenges. Those challenges are going to happen. Um, but our focus is the thing that will keep us being able to serve other people, right? So if you can think in your life like, what should my goal be? Well, we laid out earlier, our goal should be service, and the way we get to being able to do service is sharpening our unique ability, sharpening who we are as people, sharpening how we're interacting with people, and sharpen the idea of how we can contribute to the world around us, right? And so the more that we do that, that sense of of peace inside of us and the sense of fulfillment inside of us comes on. And I do think that we could have a sense of peace and yet challenges could be all around us. I don't think that those things have to be one or the other. All right, so what should I do in challenging times? Um, what you should be doing in challenging times is that you need to be able to make sure that you keep to your honesty concept. Like, stay honest about what it is that you're trying to do. You got to stay honest with yourself, stay honest with others, right? It's so important for us to know um, and align with ourselves as much as possible. And then the other thing is focus on, and it seems simple, but it's harder to do, is do what's good. Do the things that mean goodness instead of doing the things that mean avoiding pain or avoiding hurt. And then the final thing is to allow and know that who you are is good enough and useful, right? And so if you can focus on those three things, being honest, being able to say, look, I'm going to do what's good, and I'm going to know that who I am is good enough in these challenging times, you'll be able to do it. All right, so let's recap this really quick because you could go back and rewind it, but I think it's useful for me to summarize it for understanding. All right, so what I'm saying to you is the change in your life and you being able to rethink how you're doing life means that make your direction a direction of service, not serving yourself, but just a direction of service. In order for you to be able to serve, you need to know that you have a unique set of ability and circumstance and personality that's going to be useful for others. But it's also important that you continue to develop that and get better being um, at being a person of light, right? So it's super important that we continue to develop that, and that's your goals. How do I develop that? And one of the things that we can do is be able to connect and create scenarios where we're exchanging, right? Being open minded to what's being given to us. And then if we can stay focused on what the challenges are with being fulfilled like that, um, when challenges do hit, then we want to make sure that we're staying honest in those scenarios, doing the best possible thing, doing the good, right? And then making sure that we know that no matter what the circumstances, I'm so capable, I'm good enough, and the only thing that's going to keep me from growing and being better is me stopping myself. All right, you guys, I hope this is helpful. If you have questions, please hit me. We'll talk to you soon.